Welcome to the FearHEART podcast, part of FearHEART's nonprofit mission to support haunters and immersive artists. Each episode will talk news, stories, and happenings from haunted attractions of all shapes and sizes. Join us if you dare, because in this house, haunted entertainment is art. Hello, and welcome to the FearHEART podcast, a brand new podcast all about haunts and haunted attractions. My name is Krysti.
I'm Jeremiah.
And first, before we get started on this first episode, I just would like to kind of introduce ourselves. Jeremiah, tell everybody who you are.
Heck yeah, episode 1. I'm excited. So my name is Jeremiah. I've been in and around the haunt industry for, I actually just like kind of dated it back today because I knew we were doing this. And it's been about 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Whether going to haunts, being a part of haunts, creating haunts at that. I've kind of done it all. I'm also a photographer. I kind of specialize in haunt photography mainly. I'm most active during the haunt season when it comes to that. And I've been a scare actor. I've created a haunted attraction, and it's pretty much what I do. I mean, I do other things too, I suppose, if you want to get a little more personal. Musician. I like to play music.
Awesome.
Martial artist, but also a very big advocate and a bit of obsessed with the haunt world. So
I love it. And I'm Krysti. I've been in and around the haunt world for a while. I think I probably really started being a part of this world when I started scare acting. I was a scare actor at Halloween Horror Nights in 2004 and 2005. So it was a short-lived career as a zombie. And I was a zombie the first year and then like a demented schoolgirl the second year. But it still got me into this particular brand of immersive art. Since then, I've done some content creation, as have you.
yes.
People may remember us from the illustrious podcast Scream Pod.
The super popular, no one could forget Scream Pod. Yes, we do have a history of podcasting together and even just doing haunts together and whatnot. We've been friends for quite a few years now, so
yes.
I'm excited to get back to doing podcasting and stuff because I always enjoy talking to you whenever we do get to see each other, even though it's sometimes very brief.
Absolutely. I always enjoy talking to you too and getting your opinions of different haunted attractions and the goings on in those. So with that being said, let's talk about FearHEART and what FearHEART is and what we're trying to do here. So FearHEART is a new nonprofit, a legitimate nonprofit organization that we're going to use to merge practical programs supporting haunters with content creation that you're already familiar with. So we're still using social media, obviously podcasts, eventually blog articles to support and and advocate for those haunts. We'll get to that a little bit later as well. But we're also going to merge that with some practical programs that are providing real world support and just real world support for these artists and these attractions that we love so much. So I do want to give a little bit of an intro to the programs that we have already planned and kind of where we are in the process, because we are very, very new and we're still in the process of filing some of that paperwork and getting some of these things under control here. So FearHEART, we chose this name for a very specific reason. Every letter in our name actually means something. Fear is a representative of our 4 initial programs: funding, equipment, advocacy, which we've already talked about, and recruitment. And then heart, haunted entertainment is art. Haha.
I like that. That's very clever.
See what we did there?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I just want to kind of give like a very brief introduction to our 4 programs. We'll go more in depth into them as we go forward. So for funding, we're looking at providing like legitimate grants with like a real application process for haunters and for immersive artists. So like this first cycle would start in 2027. So we would have like a specific grants laid out, like, okay, we have $500 available for props. We have I'm just giving examples. I don't these are not real numbers yet, but like we
Right,
have,
right.
yeah, we have like $1,000 available for building materials. We have like something where we have a specific dollar amount tied to a specific purpose, and then anybody that wants to apply for those funds is open to do so. So that program will start in 2027, and of course we'll be able to publicize the grants that we'll have available as it gets closer and as we're able to like actually fundraise. So Jeremiah, tell me, is my explanation making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, basically, at the core, it's just a way to really help out independent haunts, because there's a lot of very passionate and creative people that run independent haunts, and they're not always the most popular, right? Everyone sees these big theme park haunts like HOS and Horror Nights, which we'll be talking about later, and that's where they want to go. And so it's really hard for some of these, people that are very passionate about their haunt specifically to get, funding and to get guests and things like that. And our goal is to help that and make their lives easier and their businesses and haunts better, because honestly, some independent haunts, man, I'm telling you, some of the best haunts out there, especially in Florida where we're located. They
Absolutely.
they can bring some intensity that you're not going to get at some of these, theme park haunts. And unfortunately, like you said, or like I said, they struggle a bit. So that's what our goal is, to just help them out as best that we can.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that the that this kind of art form is kind of overlooked. It's not as, in my opinion, it's not as respected as it should be. But basically, like, these attractions are basically immersive theater productions,
Yeah.
and should be respected as such. So I am glad to be a part of, like, building artists up.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I've met a lot of the people that run some of these haunts, with a lot of the social media and marketing and stuff that we do. And I'm telling you, man, there's so many passionate people behind a lot of these independent haunts that have such cool and amazing ideas that they just can't get across because they don't have the people or the funding, or you know the resources, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, as Jeremiah said, like, we are both primarily located in Florida. But I know that there are haunts across the United States that could, benefit from our funding program, but then other programs that we're going to talk about as well. Specifically, I am, as the term that I've created for myself is, I'm a Californian.
Yeah, you're bi-coastal,
There we go.
right?
Bicoastal.
Is that correct? That
Yes.
feels right.
Yeah, bicoastal, Californian, whatever you
Yeah.
want to say. um, but I spend a lot of time out in Southern California, and I know that there's a lot of really innovative things going on out there as well as in all sorts of other states. So our funding program will be available for haunters across the U.S. to apply to. It doesn't only have to be in Florida or
Yeah,
Florida and California. It'll be everywhere.
which is even better.
Woohoo! So, moving forward is equipment. This one will be a little bit more location based in that we're going to set up creator closets, is the term that I'm using for it right now, which is basically locations where we're able to gather and then distribute practical in-kind donations. So like, if we can get building materials, or if we can get our hands on even like pieces of furniture, or like other, even makeup, like tubes of makeup or other things that a haunt could use. We will be able to like physically have those in a location and then give them to haunters that need them. Um, we Because we are still in the paperwork process, I can't tell you exactly where those creator closets will be, but I can tell you that a couple of them are in the works.
Heck yeah. I mean, yeah, stuff like that kind of takes a bit of time and logistic planning and things like that. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And there are certain things, like, there are certain things we can't legally do until like
Right.
this paperwork is filed, or this license is, a go. And
It's always the paperwork, man.
exactly. And so advocacy, we've already talked about. That's basically what, what you would generally think of as a media outlet. We're going to continue doing that. Podcasts, social media, blogs, so on and so forth. So I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. But the last program that we're ready to talk about anyway is recruitment. And the best way to describe the recruitment vision that we have is if you can think of the website Volunteer Match. Have you ever been on that website, Jeremiah?
I have not.
Okay. So basically, Volunteer Match is it's kind of like a targeted search engine, right? Like you go in as a volunteer saying, I'm spooky and I am an artist or I am a performer or I am something, I have a certain skill set and I really want to help artists in my area, spooky artists, immersive artists in my area. You can go into this site and search based on your location and based on your skill set, haunts that need people just like you. So it helps to connect volunteers with the haunt.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks.
That's like it's like a talent agency, but like you're basically approved no matter what.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that description of it, a talent agency. There we go. So those are the first 4 programs that we are starting with, based on conversations that I've had already with several haunters, and like other brainstorming that we've done. I think there will be other programs that will very soon follow, but these are the 4 initial programs that we're starting with.
I like it. It's a good starting 4, a nice little core 4.
Yeah. So to give kind of an indication of where we are in the paperwork right now, the very first, well, actually, you know what? I feel like that's probably going to be boring to bore people with paperwork details, isn't
it? Could be. Who knows?
I mean, I'm a nonprofit nerd. I think it's interesting, but I'm realizing that most people probably wouldn't.
So that's how I feel about everyone I talk to about haunted attractions or anything else that I'm into. I'm like, to me, it's fascinating. To other people are like, why are you telling me this? It's like all I ever talk about anymore.
Well, then I'll just say everything's in process.
Everything's in motion.
Yeah, everything's in motion. I have done nonprofit paperwork before, so I know what I'm doing. I just know that it takes a bit of time. It takes a hot minute. So we are going to start operating as soon as possible. We're not there quite yet.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you're doing it because I couldn't even tell you how to begin to start doing what you're doing. So,
you know what? I learned it all in a 3-hour seminar at Rollins. So anybody can do it. It's just a matter of sitting down and listening, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the main event of tonight's podcast. We are going to kick off FearHEART's podcasting career with a summary of our HHN 34 house rankings. So this is Orlando's event. This will be the rankings from 10, our least favorite house, all the way to number 1, our first favorite house, and our thoughts on all of those. So, and this is 34, so this is last year, 2025.
Great year. It was so good.
Interesting.
Not to give any spoilers or anything, but no, honestly, this past year is probably the most fun that I've had at Horror Nights in quite some time. It was just, I think, an all around incredible year. The vibes were there. It just had a great atmosphere to it. The overall theme, having a general overall theme again, I think was a really great idea by them. It just it felt good, great scare zones. Almost, I want to say almost every house was a great house, not to give any more spoilers or anything like that, but technically all the houses were really good. There wasn't a really bad house like we've had in years past. So it was just an overall, it's going to be a very surprising, or a very, not surprising, a very hard thing to cap, or to be, to do better than. So with them doing an anniversary year this year, it's going to be, they've got big shoes to fill, basically.
Okay, so here, since you mentioned the vibes, I want to ask you, because for me, a big downer for this year was that there were no mic'd
actors. Yeah,
in the zones. That was huge for me with Oddfellow and with the twins in 33.
Sinister and Surreal.
Yes, exactly. So how did that was that not a factor for you, or how did that affect the vibes for you?
Not really. I mean, I like having those actors because it kind of gives a bit more. I don't want to say creative freedom, but sometimes they can kind of improv a bit. It adds a bit more personality to the characters, I think, rather than just having someone kind of mime a character, like the Sergio character. You can kind of hear him played throughout the park, like
Mhm.
his like little uh, what is it? What I'm trying to think of, like the words that he'd say, the phrases or whatever he'd say. You can hear it play throughout the park. But I think having a character saying that, like almost like on the HHN truss or whatever, like the head sinister and surreal or something, would be kind of cool. But I don't think it ruined it for me or anything. You still saw the Sergio character, but yeah, no, it didn't bug me too much. I do like having that though. I think it's a good option.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning that having access to like original icon characters is really big for me. Like it's great when there's a year that celebrates Jack, but if I don't get to talk to Jack and have moments with Jack that are just
Right,
mine,
right, right,
what's the point?
right.
So that was really a downer for me, especially when I realized that the El Artista character, even though he was out in the park, could not talk to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. See, I can see that. That's a good point because I
Yeah.
think he like would have benefited from having some sort of like vocal lines or even if he had like a script that he had to go by, like the David S. Pumpkins guy, he could only say the same five phrases, but like it still would have added some sort of um, flair to it.
Any
Yeah,
questions?
literally.
that actually that actually would have been amazing.
I don't know what he would have said, or even if he was just like holding his book or holding a book or something in his hand, and he was talking to that because he was going crazy, right? I think that would have been a good
Yeah.
idea too. But hindsight 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully we will get a return of mic'd icons and or at least interactive icons with 35 coming up.
I think
Um
so.
yeah.
Something tells me we're gonna get some mic'd characters.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and get started. Jeremiah, what was your number 10?
So I feel like based off of some of the feedback from this year, this might be a bit controversial for some people. Uh, but my number 10 was Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, it was probably one of, if not the most popular house with what I'll call the GP, right? The general public. It was basically no less than 80 minutes all night, every night, no matter when you went. The only thing, it wasn't a bad house. And I also would like to say, before I get into this, my rankings are based off of like how much fun I've had, not based on how good or bad the houses are. I do my rankings based off of just how much it not necessarily scared me, but how much fun I had in the house. And this house was beautiful. The sets in this house were like just like mind blowing. You could tell they spent so much money on the set design and the scenic for this house. The animatronics and puppets were like super impressive. But I'm not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's in any way. Like I grew up kind of on the games just a bit. Um, I played the game, the first one. It stressed me out. I sucked at it, so I stopped playing. And then that was like my last experience of Five Nights at Freddy's. But I never really got scared in the house, which, like I said, isn't the biggest deal, but it was visually appealing to look at. But I feel like some of the scares were just like you could see them coming before like you got to them, and that wasn't because of like the guest in front of you being scared, how that tends to happen from time to time. I feel like it was just very noticeable because of how big the animatronics and puppets were. You could just tell where they were going to come from, these deep hallways and things like that. So just didn't do it for me, unfortunately.
My thoughts are like not too far off from yours. Five Nights at Freddy's was further was higher for me, but yeah, I mean that opening scene of Five Nights was
That was
was
so cool.
gorgeous. Yes, like so amazing. But like for me it felt too much the same. It was like, okay, after I've done the first run and I've been amazed by these puppets, I'm kind of tired of these puppets. And it's just every scare was just puppet, 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 puppet.
Yeah, I when I first run through too, I only saw like two human actors, and then I thought those were the only two in the house, and then I did a few more run throughs of it and saw that there were a few more, but even then they were like still like few and far between. It felt like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely don't disagree with you. I know that it had, like you mentioned, like 80-minute waits, and that it was really popular. I have to imagine that a lot of that is just people that came specifically for Five Nights. It was
Oh,
like
for
a one
sure.
and done thing, you know.
Yeah, it was a very popular house. Like it didn't even matter what time you went. There's nights that I was there at like 1 o'clock in the morning and it was still 80 minutes and I was like, there's no way I would be in that line right now.
No. Okay, before I go into my number 10, I do want to put a disclaimer that my pug is behind me and is snoring very loudly. I can tell that the microphone is picking it up. I'm going to try to take out as much of it as I can, but I'm not going to wake him up. So I apologize.
If it makes you feel better, I don't hear anything.
Hey, there you
But I
go.
also have my puppy in here too, so he might make some noise as well. Just
There we go.
also disclaimer.
Okay, so my number 10, and I also think this is going to be controversial, was Jason Universe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of the same reason that I was giving for Five Nights and Freddy's is that, and that is that I felt like it was too much the same. I felt like
Mm.
it was the same scare, the same set over and over, which the same set is not a complaint that I have for Five Nights at Freddy's, but Jason Universe, I felt like I was in this big cabin for forever.
Yeah.
And it just looked all the same. It was the same hallway with the same guy coming at me with the same move, with the same machete or whatever it was. And it just like, it just did not do anything for me at all.
I feel like it's a very valid number 10 if I'm being honest.
Really?
I think so. I have very similar opinions on it, I think.
Okay. Well, what's your number 9?
So my number 9 is very sad because it was my number 1 on going when I did a hype list, and it was my number 1 on my hype list. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and unfortunately, it's Fallout.
Oh, I
Yeah.
feel the pain.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's so unfortunate. I've loved that series for a long time. I've played every single one of the games. I have countless hours into Fallout 4, which is my favorite of the series. The show was really awesome. I enjoyed the show a lot. I was excited to like this is like the first year where like something that I've been really really invested in has actually come to Horror Nights, and I was like, how awesome is I get to go through a vault and everything. And then I was just shot in the heart with disappointment going into the house. It was like I don't know, man. It felt very samey. I feel like there was a lack of creative scares. It was a lot of the Lucy character, so there weren't really many like scary characters. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense, like nothing that I don't know. I feel like the creatives, the scares weren't that unique. There wasn't anything like crazy special to look at or be impressed with. The other thing too that was kind of strange, like the marketing for that house was a lot of the ghoul, and I think he was only in 3 scenes of the entire house. The rest of it was just like I said, Lucy, a Rad Roach, a few of the Raider characters, and then the Brotherhood of Steel character, which was impressive, but I feel like they kind of hyped it up just a little bit too much on how it would look when they were doing some of the press stuff. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing for me, unfortunately, and it was my number 1 going into the event.
Yeah, Fallout was really high on my hype list too. I did not have any experience with Fallout until my HHN prep started, but I fell in love with the show and I was so excited to see it come to life. And I felt the exact same. There was way too much okie dokie.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like they should have switched Grave of Flesh and Fallout should have been in a soundstage, and Grave of Flesh should
Mm,
have been over there. But we're talking logistics, obviously. Like you want to have an IP in the back to kind of bring crowds back there, but that's neither here nor there. It should have been in a soundstage and given a bigger set, in my opinion.
I don't know if that would have helped it.
Probably not, if we're being honest, but wishful thinking, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, so my number 9, and I feel like this is going to upset you. Sorry, but my number 9 is WWE presents The Horror of Wyatt 6.
Wow,
I
really?
know. Well, and some of it is personal because okay, so the way that I put my rankings together were like, okay, if these houses were resurrected tonight, which of these houses is going to get me off of my couch to drive over to Universal to do again, right?
Okay, that's a good
And
way to look at it.
yeah, so that's what and like I personally wrestling doesn't resonate for me.
I would agree.
Yeah. So I was already starting on a like at a disadvantage there and I still don't I looked up a little bit about the lore so I could kind of understand it and
Hmm.
I still just it didn't resonate with me at all. Some of the visuals were really cool, which is what saved this from being number 10. but I still just didn't. It didn't do it for me.
Wow, it's kind of surprising, and it was a pretty popular house with a lot of people too.
I know.
That's funny going into. So I guess I'll give a little bit of a spoiler. In my hype list when I did this uh, beforehand or whatever, going into the event, WWE was my number 10.
Really?
It was, and it is not that. It's. I think you're going to be surprised that we're at 10. To be honest, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, a lot of like HHN fans, like even the ones that were not expecting that much about WWE, the majority that I've talked to, it really did surprise them. But like for me, it just did not. It just I could not get into it.
I can see it.
Yeah, disappointing, but it is what it is. So, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Grave of Flesh.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. See, I think this was collectively with the majority of people throughout the HHN community is I think their least favorite house aside from Fallout. If we're talking originals, I think this was the short end of the stick for originals, and this is actually one of the houses I went through the most. And the reason why I went through it the most is because it always had the shortest wait. I don't think I ever waited more than like 15 minutes for this house, and that's even being generous. I don't even. And the thing is, I don't know what it is about why it was so like short of a wait because it really wasn't a bad house. I enjoyed the house. I loved the facade for this house. It was one of my favorite facades of the year. The smell of the house was incredible, and I think the first half was really good. And then it got too again kind of like samey, and I feel like I didn't really understand the story that much. And then
Yeah.
at one point in the house, you go through these like glowing, spinning rocks, which I don't know why they're there. And then there's just more of the same. I don't know. It just like it was fun to go through. I loved the costumes and the characters, and they had some pretty creative scares, like multiple scares, where you'd have like 2 or 3 actors jumping out at you all at once from different boo holes. And but even that for me, unfortunately, couldn't save it too much. But I did still enjoy going through the house. I just wish it had a bit more character to it, I guess.
But that opening, though.
Oh, so cool, especially with the leaking water and everything too. It was so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. For those that have not been through it, this house opened by putting you literally 6 feet under, like looking up at a funeral tent out of your own grave.
Yeah, and it had water dripping from it and everything, and it smelled like dirt and flour. Like it basically smelled like a funeral home. Oh, so fucking cool. I loved it.
I mean, it was probably like one of the strongest openings. I mean, I think I've ever seen like that image, that opening will stick with me for years.
I would agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but I can certainly see what you mean by samey, except for the surge cans in the middle.
Yeah, I don't understand what those were.
I don't either.
And then for a while they were spinning, and then they stopped spinning. Like I think halfway through the season, I never saw them spin again. So I don't know.
My number 8 is Fallout for many of the reasons that we've already said. It's also because it was just like a plain book report. Like if you haven't watched the series, there is zero chance that you're going to follow any sort of story.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's a pet peeve of mine in IP houses. Like if you're gonna do an IP, you have to, at least in my opinion, like it's got to have something that resonates for people that aren't familiar with it. Like
right.
even if it's just really great visuals, like Five Nights did have really great visuals. Like I wouldn't say that Fallout even had anything like that would make it stick out to somebody who had never watched the show or played the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you could argue that the power armor towards the end, but even that, it was just so quick, and
Yep.
it didn't really do enough to like make it memorable or like captivating. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So that was a bummer. But what about your number 7?
My number 7 also might be a little controversial, but it's Hatchet and Chains.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, tell me more.
Going into it, I was really excited, and I this is one of the I guess small little parts of Slaughter Cinema 2 that I didn't really care for when we went through it. For those that might not know, Slaughter Cinema 2 was a house a few years ago that had a bunch of different themes in the house, like basically a bunch of different like B horror films, and Hatchet and Chains is one of those. It's like demon bounty hunters, like with the undead demon bounty hunters, and yeah, I don't know. I just I all didn't really. care for the theme for whatever reason. I liked a lot of the sets in the house. I think it had one of the coolest set pieces or set effects of the entire event with the train scene. If you remember that, that was cool
Yes.
as hell.
Yes.
I liked a lot of the bullet holes with the smoke coming out of the bullet holes and stuff.
Yes.
Um, and then for some reason, it was the most disgusting smelling house of the entire event. Like, I don't know what it was or why that of all places or of all houses was the most smelly. I would have figured it'd be a different one that we'll talk about later, but it was not. And this one for some reason was. But yeah, I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped I would. And I was really hoping for mummy strippers instead of, hatchet and chains, but we've got next year, I guess. Of all the Slaughter Cinema 2 ones, that's the one I wanted, but whatever.
You know what? My Mommy Strippers was my number 2. I was most hoping for Blood and Chum.
Yeah. See, oh my god, that would be so. Oh, that's right, Shark House.
Hell yeah!
That's a little callback for anyone that might have been listening from our Scream Pod days.
Blood and Chum.
Yeah.
That's okay. There's other years. Mommy Strippers will get here.
I hope so. It's gonna be on my wish list.
Well, my number 7 was Five Nights at Freddy's. Again, for a lot of the reasons that we've already said, because of like, I think at the end of the first night, Five Nights at Freddy's was way high up for me. Like, I think it was actually probably in my top 3, like at the end of opening night. But repeated runs, this house just did not hold up.
Yeah, same with me too. I was really hoping that I would like it more as I went through it more, but it just never it never happened.
Yeah. So that's okay. And like, I think, I mean, like you said, like you weren't really, the game did not really resonate for you, and I never played it. So maybe we're at a disadvantage here. Right. So
probably it stressed me out and I sucked at it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this.
What about number 6?
Number 6 is Jason.
Oh, that's lower than I expected.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like, I don't know what it was this season. I did not get a single good run through of this house. I as much as I tried, I think I went through it like 5 or 6 times, and I just didn't get a good run through. I got one good run through of the final hallway, and like that was it. And like, I guess leading up to it, everyone was like, for the premium Scream, everyone was sitting there saying that it was like, the next Insidious house, which was a very intense house the year that it was at the event. So I guess I got a little overhyped. And when I went through it, I was like severely disappointed for the same reasons that you were. I felt like all the scares were kind of the same. It was just like the same Jason popping out at you, and
Yeah.
There was also a lot of them too, which was awesome. But it was just like one after another. They didn't really give you time to like reset and kind of re-get your bearings to like get in that fear state again. And the first half, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I do like how they finally had a transition scene between the queue and then going into the tent. That was always a big pet peeve of mine because where that's located, it's in the Fast and the Furious queue, which is leaving, thank God, and Fast and Furious catching a stray. And for the longest time, it was just like an empty little courtyard or whatever, and it was very like kind of takes you out of it. So they finally did a little transition scene. But I will say, the one good run through of that final hallway that I got was definitely intense and memorable. I mean, I went through it. It was when the fog was working, so everything was just like nothing but fog and curtains, and it was just Jason after Jason after Jason, and I was like, this is intense.
Yeah.
So like, if I would have gotten a good run through the entire house, and that, it probably would have been higher, but yeah, I only got one good run through of the final hallway, and then that was it. And that was my experience, unfortunately.
I also have like one really good run through. It was at the beginning of the season for me, of that final hallway. And that I was almost like turning on this house. I was like, okay, if that last fog hallway, where I assume that you're supposed to be under the lake there, right?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good point.
That's how at least that's how I interpreted it. Was like, okay, now we're underwater and we're seeing like dead bodies coming at us, like dead Jasons.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like if I had more run throughs with the hallway working properly, I think this house would have been higher for me. But I only got the one, just that one run.
Yeah, I don't know what I feel like it was cursed this year for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do have to say though, since you brought up the transition scene, that the people playing the mom in that scene,
Oh
like
yeah,
holy god, that took a lot of energy.
yeah, yeah. Well, this is what I kind of thought was surprising is they were like in sweaters, and this is like August, September, and October, where it's
Yeah.
miserably hot, and there's like no fan. I'm like, you guys, I feel bad for you guys,
I know.
but they were still killing it. Every Pamela that I saw was in full character and didn't break character or anything. So good on them.
Yes, absolutely. And that audio was like so fast too. I mean,
Yeah,
it cycles through so quickly. I was like, okay, you guys are on it. Like,
yeah. Not enough refresh time.
that was your number 6, right?
That was my number. Yes, 6.
Oh, okay. My number 6 is Dolls Let's Play Dead.
Oh,
And yeah, and honestly, the reason is not because there was like any problem with the house. The house was great. Like the storytelling was awesome. The sets were amazing. I love the little Easter eggs that they would put throughout the house too.
hmm,
Like the dollhouse bed sheets with Jack on them.
yeah.
Yeah, like I loved that. The thing is that for me, this was the smelliest house.
Really?
That burned plastic smell.
Oh yeah. Once you get into the yep, I know what
Oh,
you're talking about.
I
Yeah.
couldn't I got to the point where I just could not handle it. Like I stopped going through this house towards the end of the run because I just couldn't handle the smell. I would go through Terrifier smells a million times before I would do that plastic smell again.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's it. Otherwise, Dolls was a great house, but that smell was really tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'll continue on with the dolls talk because it's actually my number 5.
Okay. Yeah.
We can flow right into that. Yeah. My top 5. I will be honest. It was very difficult to do because I feel like minus the first one because there was no beating that. But I feel like these could have been put anywhere. Honestly, I really enjoyed dolls. I thought it was really cool. I liked the concept. I love the idea of like being the size of dolls. It's very like Toy Story.
Yeah.
Uh, coded, especially with a lot of the costumes and stuff. Like some of the concepts and ideas they came up with were just like insane. Like who's thinking of stuff like this? And I think one of my favorite parts about it too was the guest activated triggers. I absolutely love guest activated triggers, and this house had 3 of them. And I always just like I don't know. I enjoy walking through it, like pushing the buttons and then seeing people's reactions behind me and being like, "Holy crap, you can do that!" And then they go and push it again. And actually, I think one of them was the oven. Was this that oven? You push the red button in the oven and it makes a little ding noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the final scare in this house is really really cool because it was like a distraction scare, and if you got a good run through and those 2 characters come at you at the same time, it's pretty intense. But also an above scene that I liked was like when you go under the bed and stuff too. I thought that was really cool. I
Oh,
love
wait a minute.
scenes. You don't remember that?
When you're under the bed?
Yeah, you like walk under the little girl's bed at one point. Like if you look above you, you're under the bed.
Oh
And
my
someone,
god.
yeah, someone somewhere. I don't remember this for some reason, but they said that like the bed leaks water because like I think she like peed the bed or whatever or something like that. But I don't remember if that's 100% true or I don't even remember it myself. But yeah, there's a scene where you walk under the bed and it was pretty cool.
I completely missed that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was above you.
Okay.
Yeah, which I also love when haunts do that when there's things above and but
I loved the fact that the rat appeared different places. You know, like
yeah.
there's yeah, like the rat trap at the beginning where you see
Hmm.
just the tail, and then later on you find the bloody body, and then the head is over in a different corner of the room. Like I really liked that they continued with the rat.
Yeah, that yeah, little stuff like that too is always so fun.
Well, my number 5 is Grave of Flesh, and really what saved this house was the opening scene that we already discussed. But like the rest of it was like you said, there was just a lot of the same. There wasn't a whole lot of differentiation. I had a really hard time trying to figure out what was going on, and I was really fascinated by the concept of the house and like
Hmm.
okay, we've died, now we're descending into hell is I think the whole point of it, and like what happens, right? Like what happens in those first few moments, since based on the opening scene we're obviously freshly dead.
Hmm.
So like what happens in the first few moments of your start in this torturous afterlife. And I
And we
was kind of
still don't know.
disappointed. Yeah.
We still don't know what happens.
You drink some Surge and see some
Yeah,
dirt,
exactly.
and then who knows? What about your number 4?
So my number 4 is Galkin.
Mm.
And it was actually pretty high on my list for quite some time. And then, I did some more run throughs of some houses and it changed. But I had the best run through of this house I've ever had at a house in Horror Nights, and it was based off of sheer luck, and that's why it was at like my number 2 for a very long time. But basically, opening night when I went through, there was some lady in front of me who was going obnoxiously slow through the house, and I was like, I'm not doing this. So I just walked in front of her. And because she was going so slow, there was no group in front of her. And then the person that I was with didn't do that. So I ended up being by myself, completely alone through this entire house. And it was one of the most intense things I've experienced in a while.
Oh,
It was so good. I loved the theme, the characters, and the storytelling in this house I thought were fantastic. And just some of the scares that you'd get were really cool. I loved the wicker like burning scene. I thought that was really cool.
yes.
I just the house itself, it was just a good house, like storytelling wise, creatively, set design. It was in a very impressive house. It was my number 2 for quite some time, and then it got dethroned, and I'm, a little sad about it, but it's okay.
That is like the fact that you were able to experience an HHN Orlando house by yourself
I got
on
so
opening
lucky.
night.
Oh yeah, I got so lucky. And, but the thing is, I have that like memory now forever. Like I'm not gonna forget about that. And you know, although it's not my number 1, I will always have that experience there. So
Well, my number 4 is Terrifier.
whoa,
Yeah, now I will say I'm not a huge fan of the Terrifier movies. I did try to watch, well, I did watch most of the first one and got frustrated about 75% of the way through. It's like
that's valid.
yeah. So so like I'm just not, I know that people love Art the Clown. I don't really get it, but this house was so much fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. The alternate ending with the wet and dry path and just the way that the arts would play with you. Like
mm-hmm.
I had lots of arts that would like dance with me as you were going through like some of the like the scene where the stop on by the clown
Oh yeah,
cafe like
yeah.
yeah. There were so many like they would dance, they would like make fun of me or whatever, and then the art like directing the traffic at the end was always really playful. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
I adore when characters are playful and play
yeah.
with you.
I
Yeah.
could not agree more.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So Terrifier ended up being a must do for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
um pretty much anytime I went to the event, I was like, okay, like got to get a run of Terrifier in, got to get a run of a couple other things in, which is not normal for me with an IP. So Terrifier impressed me.
Which path did you do?
I would switch back
Oh
and
okay.
forth. Yeah. Which was your preferred?
I never did the dry path, so I have no idea what it looks like. I was like,
Oh.
I can't not do the wet path. It was just too much fun.
It was like the dry path was like slightly more scenic, not too much, but there was a little bit more going on in the dry path. So I wanted to make sure I experienced it a good bit, but the wet
Gotcha.
path was obviously the way
I agree.
to go.
Well, I guess moving on to my number what 3? Yeah, my
Yes.
number 3. So my number 3 was WWE,
Oh, okay.
and so I'm not a fan of WWE in the slightest. Like I used to be when I was a kid. I found out it was fake, and I was like, well, this is dead to me now. Like I'm done, and I have not seen it since. So I also was very unfamiliar with the character Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt Six and everything like that, or the Fiend, and I forgot what his other thing was. There may have been just those two. Either way, unfamiliar with it, and so I had zero interest in doing this. And this actually ended up being the house I did the most. One of the houses I did the most. All of as long with as long. Well, I can't speak as well as Grave of Flesh, and it impressed me. I think looking at it as an original house rather than technically an IP with WWE kind of makes it a bit better. I don't know the characters that well, but honestly, this house had, you can tell they also spent a lot of money on this house. A lot of love went into the house. They had very unique scares, a lot of really creative scares, and I think the storytelling on it was also like really well done too. And I like the bit of Easter eggs that I understood from my childhood. I thought those were cool because there was even stuff in there that like I recognized and whatnot. But I just thought it was an overall like a really good house. It had one of my favorite scares that I got to watch because the two, I don't know if you remember the TV production room where they
Yes.
have the TVs on the sides and then the two guys come out at the same time on the left or right, and
Yes.
they wrecked Kira.
Oh no.
And it was one of the most, and they got like so close to her. Like she had to like lean back. It was so close, and they just destroyed her. And it was like one of my favorite moments of the season. But it was an impressive house. Like I said, was never a fan of the WWE, but I think looking at it from an original perspective, as if it was an original house, I think kind of like made me like it a bit more. Like I got to experience something technically brand new to me, so it
Yeah.
was pretty. It was good. It was good.
My number 3 is Gulkin. I
Valid.
loved. I mean, like you said, I love the scenery, the fiery Wicker Man thing, whatever that was. I also really loved that you got eaten at the end.
Oh yeah, but yeah. I love it.
Yes. Like the fact that you're in this big church building, right? For those of you that haven't seen it, and then there's like this huge monster that's taking down the building, and you end up inside of that monster's body for the last scene. And that, first of all, the characters inside the body, the ones that were like, I don't even know what kind, with like inside the heart or whatever that would pop out
Yeah,
at you, they got me almost every time.
yeah.
Yeah. They were really great. So that's
I also liked how I don't know if you noticed this, but as you go through the house, the monster gets bigger as you go through until you finally like see it at its full form, and then you go through its mouth.
Oh, wait a minute. That was supposed to be the same monster.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like it gets bigger as you like are going through the house. Because at first you see it and it's just like that standing character, and then it gets bigger, and then it's on a stilt, and then it becomes that main monster that you see at the end.
Oh my god, I totally missed that.
Yeah, I missed it too until somebody else pointed it out to me, and I was like, "Oh shit, you're right."
That's brilliant.
Yeah, sometimes I like, when I go through houses, I'm always looking at like the set design and like all the effects and things like that. So I kind of miss storytelling sometimes. And yeah, someone pointed it out to me, and I was like, "Holy shit, I never even noticed that."
Well, sometimes I think I assign like too much storytelling. Like for the weekend house a couple years ago, I was like, "Oh, it's about grief. See, like this room is about bargaining, and this room is about anger, and this room's about." And everybody's like, "No, that's not.
It's just
That's
just a
not what it
room.
is."
Yeah,
Like, calm down, Krysti.
look into it too much a bit.
Well, what is your number 2?
So my number two is Terrifier,
Nice.
which I did not think was gonna happen in the slightest. I was like you, and I was not a fan of Terrifier going into Horror Nights. Like I had never seen the second and third film. I'd seen the first one, but like forever ago. I wasn't really a fan of it. I was like, whatever. And then I experienced the house, and everything changed. Like the house, like you described, was just. It's not even the fact that it wasn't even like scary, right? Because it wasn't a terrifying house, but it was just so much fun. The
Yeah.
way the characters, the arts would interact with you was just so much. It was impossible to not have fun in that house. Everyone was performing that character flawlessly. Every single Art the Clown, like it seemed like it was the real Art the Clown. I loved the layout of the house. I think there were some pretty fun creative scares in that house. Tons of water, obviously,
Oh yeah.
which I also enjoyed, but it was just impossible to not have fun in that house. And I had so much fun that it enticed me to finish watching the rest of the films. And I have since seen the rest of the films, and I can say I am a fan now. So Horror Nights has changed me. Terrifier House has changed me.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
but I had to. Yeah, I was just like that, and like you said, it was like you have to do that house every night that you go to the event, or you can't skip it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. It was the most fun I've had in a house at Horror Nights in a very very long time.
It's so much fun. So much fun. And I loved the roaming art that they had too.
Oh my god, yeah. I never got to see him.
No, really?
I don't know what it was, but for some reason I never ran into him the entire season, which I was like, how is this even possible? Because I kept seeing clips online of everyone just running into him constantly. All my friends and other photographer friends that I was with, they got all these fabulous photos of him and stuff, and I'm like, where is he when I'm here? Because I didn't see him once. Like I don't know what path I'm taking or what, but
Well, I think towards the like middle or end or something, they were like definitely scaling him back because he would just get like mobbed, you
Yeah,
know?
he would get. Yeah, I don't think he will be back in a roving, scene like
Yeah.
that. Which that kind of surprised me. I guess I never really like understood how popular he was until I saw how flooded and crowded, how much of a crowd he would bring out in the streets and whatnot. Like, he, I guess, is more popular than I thought he was. But
I mean, I talked to somebody this past weekend that like Art the Clown like inspired her to like recover from some like major mental health issues. Like Art the Clown is
wow.
like really this inspirational like life force to a lot of people. I don't get it, but good for
Who would have
them.
thought?
Like
Hey, yeah, whatever works, man. That's all that
yeah,
matters.
like that's great. Have
That's
at it.
insane.
Okay, so my number 2 is Hatchet and Chains.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that it ended up at number 2. But again, thinking about like, okay, which house would I drive over to Universal for? And I really loved so many of the visuals of this house, the train scene that you brought up, the
That was
foggy
so
bullet
cool.
holes. Yeah. Yeah, like and I love the idea of a Slaughter Cinema house, like a Slaughter Cinema movie getting a full house. It
Mhm.
was also not my first choice. As we discussed, I would have loved Blood and Chum. I'm still holding out hope. B movie Shark House, Universal, come on.
You gotta do it.
but I ended up really loving it. Which means though that our number 1 is the same.
We do have the same number one.
You want to do the honors?
Yeah, obviously, number one, El Artista. I mean,
Woohoo!
how can you beat that house? That was easily the most beautiful house I think I have ever gone through that Universal has made. There's been some really good ones, right? The most recent one, I think, Blood Moon. I forgot the full name, but Blood Moon was a very beautiful house.
Yes.
Was it Dead Man's Pier before that? Was a very beautiful house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, both made by the same person who did Artista as well. But they just literally knocked it out of the park with Artista. The facade for this house is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Like a full scale manor just built on a soundstage. It was just mind blowing. It was, and I purposely stayed away from spoilers walking into this house as well. I didn't see any photos. I tried to stay away from them as much as I could, and it was just insanely impressive. I think this was the one house that had the most unique and creative scares. It had the most amount of scares in terms of variety. Right, you had scares from above. You've had the Pepper's ghost effect, a few scenes, double scares. You had distraction scares, scare actors that would get you in one scene, and that same actor would get you in a different scene.
Yeah.
Stilt scares, which was one of my favorite ones at the very beginning, where you walk in
Mm.
and the stilt walks at you because you can hear her feet stomping on the ground. It was so cool. Just this house in general was just incredible.
Yes, and all the little details too, like stuff coming out of paintings and
Yeah,
like floor panels lighting up and you can see things underneath the floor. Like it was just every corner of this house is like literally haunted with different kinds of effects and it was just oh god. I agree with you. I think this is probably the most beautiful house I've ever seen
and
at
such a
Universal.
creative idea too. I mean, to think of having this artist moving into a manor, and then his paintings start coming to life and then haunting him is just it's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
And then to put it in that Spanish era, and with that same type of architecture and everything like that was just perfect. You
Yeah.
can't get any better than that. But yeah, I mean, the I think two of my favorite scenes, the gargoyle above you that flies by, and the courtyard. You walk into a courtyard with a fountain with water coming out of it, and the scale of this house was just insane.
Yes.
It may not have been the scariest house, right? I think other houses could have been a bit more intense at times, but I feel it's beside the point. I mean, I think at that level of immersion, you're kind of just in an experience rather than just a haunted house.
Yeah.
And I think they pulled that off really well with El Artista. I think I don't see that house getting topped anytime soon. I mean, I don't even know where they can go from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I wish my only wish is that we knew El Artista better. Like I wish that we had gotten to talk to him in the park. I wish that like they had done a little bit more with that character. But the house, flawless.
Yeah,
Like
I would agree
spot
with
on.
that too. Oh yeah, man, it's just it's so good. I'm so bummed that house is gone.
I know.
I would have like hated to be part of the team that had to destroy that.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
we
our
did
top
it.
10. So, in closing this initial episode of Fear Heart, I do want to let everybody know that you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Team Fear Heart. We are also on Facebook, but I am still working on changing some of the names for that the name isn't quite right. So don't worry about Facebook yet. But on everything else, it's Team TEAM Fearheart. That's where you can find us. Jeremiah, where else can they find you?
Ooh, plugs. I mean, if you're interested, I do photography and a few other things here and there, but you can follow me at Unmanaged Media on Instagram and YouTube. I kind of post more on Instagram, a bit more active there. I do have plans on doing some more stuff with YouTube. I've been sitting on a video for a while, but I'm far more active there. So see my photography on Instagram.
See your kick ass photography on Instagram.
Oh, thank you, thank
All
you.
right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say before we close this episode?
No, I'm excited about this project. I can't wait to be or to see where it goes. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm excited for the next episode.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you for being here, Jeremiah. Thank you for joining us, everyone that's listening. And we will see you next time.